As soon as you get this, obviously infiltration decreases, erosion by wind, water increases, yield consistency declines. Okay? Then you get more pondage. I saw numerous fields. How much rain did you get the other night? We had a pretty strong storm, came down pretty quick. What was it right in this area? A couple inches? Or did you even get a couple inches? Saw a lot of areas where I'd seen the residue float up because you had a big old pond. So bottom line is, if part of the field ponded, that means part of the field ran off to the pond.
Put more tile in.
And all these things are happening. That's why we're getting more ponded. Persistent wetness. It can't breathe. It can't. You ever held the thumb over the straw and you pull it out? Water stays in that straw until you let the thumb off. So you get less air and water movement, less rooting, lower nutrient access and nutrient efficiency because now we've gone anaerobic. Okay, less diversity and more disease and more pests. More soil organic matter starts leaving because what are we doing? We're killing it more often to break that crust. And so we're gonna continue doing that. We're gonna nutrients and topsoil continue to be lost. Crop yields ultimately decline, and if you take it to its final extent, keep in mind we haven't been here long. Look to old civilizations. Are they having a little trouble feeding themselves? It's the number one reason for war in most of these very unstable places is because they cannot feed themselves because they've destroyed their soil resources. There's a book, Conquest, what's the Conquest of Civilization? Conquest of, we'll give it to you. It's on our list of books that we'll give. Conquest of several thousand civilizations or something. I don't know what it's called. Hunger and malnutrition is the ultimate thing. Now we're not quite there yet. We've come dangerously close 2 or 3 times already in our history though. But remember the 20s and 30s? Again, it was happening. We forget that it was happening. It was happening again in the late 70s, early 80s to the fragile soils. Those folks were not able to sustain yields at that time that was sustainable. Along came some farm bill, as a society. Thank goodness we have a government that allows us to be adaptive to our needs as a society, and that's the beauty of a democracy, is that we have that ability to adapt as things go along. Other societies have failed because they didn't have that adaptive capability. Okay, so we've got these really key organic, or these indicators, and there's a whole list of them, and I probably won't even hit all of them, but I want to hit some of the key ones. The key soil health indicator, that this is kind of part of the longer definition of soil health. When we're talking about soil health, we're talking about indicators like organic matter. We've already said that we harped on aggregate stability, water infiltration, water holding capacity. These are all things that we have lab tests, field tests. We have absolute tests to measure these. There's been tremendous amounts of scientific research done on these and what they impact as far as water quality, production, those kinds of things. Nutrient cycling, soil biology, erosion. The list goes on and on. Structure, respiration, enzymes, CEC, pH, bulk density, macropores. In the handout or we'll have a thumb drive and we've got a Dropbox, right, that we can put a lot of these files on. I've got a sheet that is available. We didn't print out a big giant book for this because we want you to carry home a big 3-ring binder. People don't use that anymore, so we're going to make it available electronically. We've got a sheet that describes every one of these in pretty significant detail on how management affects them. And they're all part of understanding soil health. The key thing that I want to drive home is, though, when we're talking about regenerating soil health, we have to make every one of these indicators an action word. So we're going to be talking about, we want to continually be increasing organic matter. I had one person say, they were a greenhouse organic producer in New Hampshire, I think. He said, I don't know, we've had situations when we got too much organic matter. And I said, well, how did you get that too much organic matter? Well, we hauled in all the city's leaves and waste and everything, and we piled it on all of our fields in that greenhouse. And I said, okay, but you didn't get that through a natural system. You can haul in, there's a lot of things. You can affect these indicators by hauling in enough amendments. We've done it for years with fertilizer and lime. We haul it in, right? Manure, you can haul it in. You can haul in organic matter if you really want to. It's not going to be very easy to do if you're farming 10,000 acres or 5,000 acres. You can haul in enough. You can grow a lot of it. So I want to be thinking increasing organic matter, improving aggregate stability, constantly improving. That improves and increases water infiltration, water holding capacity, improves your nutrient cycling. It's all these indicators have to be in an improving state. And you need to be thinking with every step of your management process, how can I make that be continually improving? And it's not always simple, it's not always obvious, and that's why we have meetings like this, because when you start putting cover crops into your cropping rotation, that sounds easy, right? Just plant some cover crops, you're good to go. You have to look at what everything else does that affect in your management. What's it doing to your nitrogen cycle? What's that doing to your water cycle? What's that doing to your pest cycle? You have to understand how all that fits. So it's not always easy, but it is going to be a major improvement if you can master these details. So these are probably the key ones. There's more out there that we can measure. There's a whole bunch of things, but I've got the key ones here with an ing attached to them that are pretty obvious and pretty plain and easy to understand for most producers in the room and most crop consultants. These all make sense. The beauty of it is, a lot of people, we come under a lot of criticism when soil health first took off, and it was like, there's no science behind what you're talking about. There's no science. I can't do a Google search and find one single paper that says soil health equals 10 more bushels of corn. Can't find it. I said, well, you're looking for the wrong thing. Yes, it's probably not, because soil health is kind of a new term. However, if these are the indicators of soil health, I'm going to suggest that if we look at indicators, these are just a few that I picked. If we look at increased reactive soil organic matter, increased aggregate stability, reducing erosion, biodiversity as indicators, these are just 4 of the indicators that I picked. Is there any scientific literature that proves that these are okay, that these are good for us? Well, there's tons of it, as it turns out. And it goes way back to the 40s and the 20s. We've known about these things, that increasing organic matter increases water infiltration, increases nutrient cycling, increases water holding capacity, increases porosity, improves water filtering. That does all that. And there's reams of scientific literature that substantiates it. Reams of literature that substantiates aggregate stability and its effects on all of these other things that are beneficial to us. Less erosion. There's lots of literature that studies. That's been studied to death, is erosion, and it shows all these benefits. Biodiversity. We all know that crop rotation. There's others. There's lots of evidence. We see it every time we look at the yield monitor go across an old fence row. Biodiversity has a lot of benefits to the system. Okay, so there's no shortage of scientific literature that supports this when you break it into the individual indicators, but that's what science does. Science takes, that's the very crux of how we do scientific research. We take a thing that we want to study, break it into components that we can statistically analyze and get repetitive results over and over. You can't hardly do that from a broad system, but you can from individual components, and that's what we got. But if you put all those together, and then you continue looking for research, there's all kinds of reams of research that increased water infiltration improves productivity. Guess what? That makes sense, doesn't it? And there's increased porosity. Increased porosity improves productivity. All these things improve productivity. Environmental quality. There's all kinds of study on environmental quality. So we know that these things all lead to higher environmental quality too. There's no lack of scientific basis for most of what we're talking about, and I would say all of what we're talking about. If you look, know where to look in the literature for that. So these indicators have to be part of the overall understanding of soil health and understanding of how we manage for soil health. Okay? So it has to be not a destination, but more of a journey.